Hello and a very warm welcome to Look Blues Talking. I'm Lawrence Nelson. Joining me this week, Brian Martin and George Frank. We will be looking back at the weekend's game at East Kilbride and two games to look forward to this week. Clyde at the Ecogen Stadium at Stair Park on Saturday and another home game on Tuesday night in the Challenge Cup. I will at some point remember the name of it these days. Tuesday night, Rangers B are at Stair Park. Um, First of all, though, guys, let's look back to East Kilbride and those last 2 or 3 minutes. It was us who was in a bit of a whirl as the defence got caught out by two late goals. And Brian, in a funny kind of way, I was thinking back, East Kilbride got a measure of revenge for our playoff win, but actually the goals kind of came in mirrored order. So the home side went ahead, the away side equalised, and then two very late goals for the home side. So it was a bit like that second leg of the playoff in terms of scoring. However, we are really here to look back at the Stranraer performance at the weekend and your initial thoughts, Brian.
Yeah, once I eventually got up the ladder, launched that Gantry. I really quite enjoyed the performance. I think the game plan went absolutely spot on until 80 odd minutes when they scored, their second. I think I said in commentary, it was tired legs when Baldy scored the third. He was completely unmarked. I think if that had been one each, we might have made special effort, to cover him, but he just floated in, and it didn't happen at all in the first half, and it didn't happen at all throughout the game until that last minute when he drifted, into the middle of the park, and it was a fair enough goal. I mean, I wouldn't say it was an overhead kick, but it was quite maybe at an angle, but he was left all alone, and I'm quite sure Tiff was disappointed. But as I say, the legs must have been absolutely gone with the players because they played 90 minutes against Alaba on the Tuesday night, and that baking sun, it's a very very hard game to play. The game we were playing on Saturday, but I must admit the counter attacks were absolutely brilliant. I thought we got it absolutely spot on, and we're done with two late goals.
George, you were having a laugh as we walked around the pitch. A home fan who'd obviously been holding it in for a year and a half turned to me and said, "Your boys took a hell of a beating." And in much the same way that, to be fair, Brian said that at Stair Park a year and a half ago, in much the same way that it wasn't a hell of a beating for us against East Kilbride. Saturday's really wasn't a 3-1 either.
No, it wasn't, and I think we were right in the game. I don't think we would have perhaps expected quite the performance that we put on. There was, I think, on another day, if the decisions go our way, we take a few of those chances, we'd have been coming away with 3 points. And having said that, fair play to East Kilbride. Obviously, that chap was quite happy at full time, and I think they've been waiting a while to get the comeuppance. So hopefully that's it out of the way now, and we can beat them next time.
Yeah, I'm guessing that when they looked at the fixture list Stranraer at home, maybe not exactly a glamour tie, but I'm guessing they were all looking forward to try and get a bit of revenge. Brian, to the game, and I guess it was first blood to East Kilbride when the penalty was awarded. Penalty was awarded, let me just check my stats, 32 minutes by Mr. Sterling. I'll come to both of you in turn about the decision, but Brian, having looked at it again, penalty, no penalty?
I think it might be given as a penalty, but it's very very soft.
Yeah.
I can see we watched it at half time. And George, I think, I don't know, I'm not put words in his mouth, but I think George thought it was obstruction. But I've looked at it, and it's very, very soft. The referee must have waited for maybe a couple of seconds. The East Kilbride players claimed for it, and they got it. Yeah, I think if it went down the other end, I don't think it's a penalty. I don't think he gives it, but the other home side, a shout for the crowd, he gives it. And but I think I've seen them given those type, but very, very soft.
Yeah, I thought we had a good angle for it, and I actually was quite adamant, as you'd hear in commentary, that was never a penalty. Watch it again, probably more inclined to what Brian's saying, George, that it could be given. I still think it was a bit soft, but you said having had a look at it at half time on Saturday, you thought, fair enough, it's a spot kick.
I thought at the time it was probably a spot kick, certainly on the softer side. I think Ekripont just has his arm out, and that's where he's going to what they call impeding the progress now rather than obstruction. And obviously, yeah, it is a bit soft, but I think it's probably just a penalty. But yeah, I was with you too in hoping he didn't call it, but unfortunately, that was the case.
But just before half time, we did have the ball in the net. That this one was initially given by Mr. Stirling, and it was either Gordon McCabe or Michael McDermott. I don't know which linesman was which, but he drew the referee's attention to an infringement in the box. Brian, I'll come to you. I've had a look at the replays a couple of times. I can't actually see any infringement in the box. What about yourself?
No, it's an absolutely horrendous decision by the Lino, and we know the Lino called it because the ref gave the goal, but in their earpiece he must have said the Lino must have said an infringement or something. And I mean we heard him come up to Tiff and the backroom staff. We heard everything what they said, and I think did he say Lawrence the Stranraer player bumped into the did he say
I
he
thought he
bumped into the
said
keeper?
he jumped at the keeper,
Jumped
which
at the keeper.
I can't see that in the highlights.
I mean, as Tiff said in the post match, the ref's 5, 6 yards away,
Yeah,
sees nothing wrong. The line was what 30, 40 yards away, sees something, an absolutely horrendous decision. I've got to say, I mean, and it brings you right back into the game. Different team talk at half time, but really horrendous decision. And I don't know whether these guys call the managers and say, look, that was a bad decision, but I'm quite sure when they looked at it in the replay on Sunday morning, they would say, oh my God, what have I done there?
yeah. George, any different thoughts to that? I mean, again, to me, the goalkeeper did seem to go down very easily.
I think that's it. I think he if anything, he kind of jumped after Scott. I think it was Scott Ruff. I think he jumps after Scott Ruff's gone up, and kind of the keeper jumps into Scott, and he's miles away from the ball.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um, and there was a kind of similar incident in the Man United Arsenal game on Sunday where the goal's given. Um, but I think there was actually contact in the Man United Arsenal game. I couldn't really see much in the way of contact from I think it's Owens, the East Kilbride keeper. So yeah, very very soft, and I think that was one that we can feel quite aggrieved about.
yeah. I came away from the highlights not so bothered about the penalty, but really aggrieved at the disallowed goal. And I think if you're going to disallow a goal for that, you're going to disallow anything where there's more than three or four people in the penalty box. And it just felt that there were numbers around the keeper and the linesman. I don't know. Did he think I better give something, or did he actually see something? I'm conscious that we are looking at it from
Mhm.
behind and in front. He was looking along. I don't know what he saw, but I think it's a fair point that Brian makes, that Chris Aiken made, that the referee was what 5 or 10 yards away. The linesman was looking through a forest of bodies from the other side of the pitch. So that left it 1-0 at half time. But Brian, boy, did we come out enthused for the second half.
Aye, fantastic goal, but Vituri, I mean, the pace he showed. I mean, I laughed at the guy. I can't remember who it was. It could have been, I don't think it was Breen, but he just breezed past him, and
Yeah,
the boy did not know what had hit him, and Sal just absolutely. I should have said Lawrence in commentary. It was, he touched on his cell and played it on. It was a pass to himself basically,
yeah, yeah.
and absolutely brilliant bit of pace, and he finished it off great. That's what we've been looking for with Sal. We know he's got pace. We wanted him to finish it, and it was a brilliant goal. It really was. The pace of the boy is really something else.
George, what I also liked about it, everybody's talked enthusiastic about the pace that he showed. He left the defender, totally stranded, but with his pace. But it was actually the digging in he did to win the ball. I'd kind of forgotten that he won the ball himself in the East Kilbride half, then
Mhm.
raced towards the defender, poked the ball in front, then raced past him. So it was that determination to win it in the first place, but it was also the determination in the shot, because we saw other shots on Saturday that were a bit powder puff. That defender that got back might have cleared that off the line, but for the force with which Sal hit the ball.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, the more I watch it back, the more I think it's probably a goal of the season contender.
Mm.
I think at the time it happened so quickly that you're like, oh, he's done well there. As you say, he's won the ball. He's knocked it past the defender. The pace is unreal. It's not just the pace; it's also managing to get that finish away and being composed enough to do that with the pace that he was going at. I think Sal the more you see him, the more confident he gets. Talking to him after the game, you can see he's more confident, and I think his pace is a real threat for us. And he's still only 18 years old, so lots of potential, and hopefully we'll see that realised a
That's
little
the
bit more
thing
this season.
that's the thing that's really easy to forget, the age of some of these
Mhm.
players, and that, you're talking about confidence. 2 goals in 2 games has got to give him a bit of confidence, and we're looking for more. And Brian Martin is coming and going there. I think he's still got to
Right,
do
well,
his roundabout.
that's, that's it.
Brian, it's fair to say we are enthusing about the Stranraer performance, but I was going to say what also impressed me about Sal's goal is his decision making. Won the ball decisively, realised that was the defender there. Could he take him on? Yeah, poked the ball past him, left him for dead. Shot at the right time, because I'm kind of thinking Saturday both sides made numerous chances. I'm not just saying it was Stranraer, but it was pretty level at that stage in the game. But the number of chances we made, and it was generally decision making that let us down.
Yeah, I think it's a confidence thing, Lawrence. We saw he'd scored on the Tuesday night. And he had a wee bit of confidence about him, and I think that's why he scored because that's it. When strikers when they score one, they usually go on a run. And hopefully Sal will now go and score, a goal every game, for 4 or 5. But I think it's just a confidence thing, and I mean, looking back at the game. We'll look back at the game later on, but you know, I think we mentioned Jack Leach very little, and I think that just plays testament to the Stranraer performance. I mean, Leach is there ball winner. He's in the middle of the park, but I can't even remember. I know he missed a chance early doors in the first half, but I can't even remember him getting a foothold in the game. Baldy passed it about 2 or 3 times, but Leach was almost completely anonymous in the game, and I think that shows you how well Stranraer played.
Let's just quickly deal with the 2 late East Kilbride goals. I think in commentary I was saying that I thought it was a foul on our keeper for the first one. I'm not so sure about that when I look at the highlights. People need to realise that you do actually say things on the spur of the moment, and we try not to, but you get carried away. I'm not so sure that anybody touched Josh Lane in the build up to that. He's put East Kilbride 2-1 up, and as Brian said at that point, we're very late in the game, and the third one was just a kind of sucker punch. Well done to Baldy. We always felt slightly guilty for calling him out in the playoff for that miss of his, especially when you saw how he was after the playoff game. Really upset. Took that goal well, but Brian, as you said, nobody was marking him. Nobody was near him.
Yeah, he just strayed into a position where I don't know who was supposed to mark him. I've got a notion it might have been Lewis Hunter. Apologies to Lewis
Yeah,
if it's not
maybe.
him, but I think it might have been him. Should have followed Baldy, but it was just time. I think it was tiredness, Lawrence. If you're one each, you absolutely scrap for having 2-1.
Yeah,
The minds are away. You're very tired after a midweek game. Really hot day. It must have took a hell of a lot out of the players. They're only part-time players. And
yeah,
as I say, I think the second goal was a bit of stramash. It wasn't a foul on Josh. We thought it at the time, but it wasn't. And
yeah,
it landed nice at the boy's foot to smash into the net, which was disappointing for quite sure for Stranraer's bench point of view. But as I repeat, I mean, Baldy's was probably due to tiredness in our legs. But all in all, I thought it was a really good performance.
yeah. David Ferguson, for the record, was the man who struck for the second goal. George, we're very enthusiastic about the performance. Got to address the fact, I guess, that we've lost 3 in a row. Notwithstanding that, you're still a bit happier having seen us against Alloa and against East Kilbride.
I think that's it. I think we were looking to turn a corner after those two results, and I think that came with the Alloa result and performance, and then again the kind of performance at East Kilbride, where, as I say, on another day you maybe take at least a point there, and we need to put those first 2 games behind us. We can't really be looking back. I think Tiff probably knows now how to set the team up. He knows what the players are capable of, and he probably knows a bit more um, what their best positions are and that kind of thing. So. Yeah, I mean, it's still looking back, as you say, it's 3 defeats in the first league game, so it puts pressure on for the upcoming home game against Clyde and the fixtures coming up.
Brian, I was kind of grumbling earlier on, but just wanted to get it on record that I think if we played the way we did on Saturday against Forfar and against Edinburgh City, we would have taken something from those games.
Oh, absolutely. I think, I mean, Tiff has made his mistake. He's tweaked the system and he's now a wee bit more offensive instead of defensive. And going forward, I mean, you can, the win's just round the corner. There's no doubt about it. I mean, in the league, yeah, I've got to say. And on East Kilbride, I think they're a League One side playing in League Two. They've got somebody. Robertson is their best player.
Yeah,
He was the main man. Everything come through him nearly. Flanagan come on second half. I thought Evan Dunn played the boy Foster really well. Evan had a great game at Forfar. He was a wee bit suspect, but I thought he redeemed himself on Saturday. Thought he had a right good game. He came forward like we used to watch him in the friendlies and the League Cup. He was moving forward. Gives us an extra man going forward. Thought he's really good. East Kilbride. I mean, I think East Kilbride. I don't know. I think the circus behind them might halt them getting up to League One because I think everybody wants to beat them. But they're a very good side. There's no doubt about it. And he might strengthen in January. If they're no clear in the league. But I don't think they're any better than League One. And I think Kelty Hearts were a better team when we played them 2 or 3 seasons ago. But that's just my thoughts on them.
to be fair, I don't think that Mick Kennedy went out and waved the checkbook about as much as some people thought he might during the summer. One or two additions, but by and large, he stuck with the players that he already had. George, I was saying on Saturday that I think they'll be there or thereabouts. I don't think they're going to win League Two at a canter. And to be fair, I don't think anybody at East Kilbride has actually said they'll win League Two at a canter. It's more other fans of other teams that are saying that. But I think they'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think they'll be up there, and I think League Two is always a tight league, and it will be again this year. I think there'll be other teams giving them a run for their money, but it's maybe just a little bit more difficult to identify who that team will be. I think Forford started well, and yeah, it's just tricky to pick them out. And obviously, EK, you go, well, they've got a bit of cash behind them; they can afford to spend a bit. Having said that, I agree with you. I think they've brought in a lot of players that you would think are good League Two players rather than necessarily standout players who could play in League One or the Championship. There's
Yeah.
a few that I know we were after ourselves, and missed out on, and obviously can't match the kind of finances that they're willing to spend. But yeah, I don't think they're um, you know head and shoulders above the rest of the teams. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I
But
think I think long I think defensively wise, they're definitely a League Two side.
yeah,
They're there to be got at. I mean, look at the
yeah,
chances we created. If Corey had his shooting boots on, he could have had a hat trick in the first half, and he was very unlucky in the second half. James Dolan with a shot. I think it came off Corey's knee. It's just gone through one of
Yeah,
them times, that. But I'm quite sure he'll come good. You can see he gets into the right positions. He's just no scoring,
yeah.
but I'm quite sure he'll come good. But defensively wise, they're definitely there to be got at.
Yeah, Saturday was just one of those days for Corey. I know you could say he's had two or three. Bear in mind that was his third game for us. It will come. He was getting himself into some fantastic positions. It's just decision making and actually finding the net decisively. There's one where Freddie Owens came out towards him and he could probably beat him by lifting the ball over, but it's hell of a easy for us to say with
Yeah.
hindsight looking back on it. Brian, one player I thought that you're talking about Leach didn't feature that much. I just worried again. We gave Robertson a little bit too much space at times in the first half.
I mean, Robertson should be nowhere near League Two Lawrence.
Yeah,
He could be a championship player, I've got to say. I mean, he's a fantastic. I don't like to say it about another opposing player, but Robertson is a fantastic player. I think he's always been a good player, even when he's played with Edinburgh City. He caused us problems, and he's a right talent, the boy. And for some unknown reason, he's playing in League Two, but he's a great player. I mean, as I say, he had 2 or 3 shots. I don't think Josh was overly busy,
no,
but if he was busy, it was Robertson shots because he
yeah.
had 2 or 3. And although I thought Finn did all right against him, but he's a great player, Robertson.
George, very, very late card for Joe Baldy. I actually said in the highlights I thought his second booking was maybe a wee bit harsh. Was it a foul? Yeah. Did he catch our player? Yeah, but I thought second yellow, that might have been a wee bit harsh on him.
I don't know. I think it's maybe it seems harsher because he'd only just had a yellow card,
First
and
booking, yeah.
yeah, and maybe it's just one of these where if it was a standalone booking, you'd be like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
He's caught him late, but I think yeah, two bookable offences for me. Obviously I'm biased, but there you go. I think back to Robertson. I can remember Brian talking about him a lot during I think it was the COVID season when he was
Edinburgh
at Edinburgh
City.
City, and
Yep.
every time we played them, he seemed to um, tear us a. I was going to say
Yeah.
tear us a new one, but
I
you know what I mean.
know what you mean.
Yeah, tear us apart, and yeah, he's still really is a standout player in League Two. I think we managed him okay. He got a few shots off, found the side netting and that kind of thing. But yeah, he's going to be their danger man, I think, for the rest of the season.
Well, let's be honest, with George, when you're in a position that you can bring like Nathan Flanagan, Cammy Elliott off the bench, and they never even introduced the likes of Jack Healy. That they're tough opponents.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've got the resources to build a good team. Like you say, they'll probably strengthen in January, so they'll be right up there. But hopefully, we know now that we can give them a game based on Saturday.
Yeah, food for thought for the manager. Brian, you mentioned very briefly the large ladder that we had to climb into the gantry on Saturday. I think we must have climbed about, I don't know, 10, 12 feet to get up there. And I was particularly impressed that I managed to take a glass of Coke up there and still leave it just about intact. But actually, apart from the view to the right, which was obscured by another cameraman, it's a pretty good viewing position.
Oh, it's a fantastic view, Lawrence. I say, just getting up that ladder, say, is a bit of, I don't know, a bit of a bugger, but it really is. But we managed it again, Lawrence, and we've got one more time to go next year. So no, next year. So we'll wait and see. I'll maybe lose maybe a couple of stone in weight, and I'll maybe make me a bit fitter.
It'll probably, I'm guessing it'll be in a howling gale in January or February, George. So
I think I'd gone away to set up the action cameras behind the goals, and I don't think you guys had turned up yet. And I came back, and you're up on the gantry, and I was like, well, that was easier than I thought it'd be.
actually, getting down was harder because you had to sort of climb sideways to get onto the ladder, and then of course we had all the camera and the bags and stuff to bring back
Yeah.
down. Credit to you for getting everything up there in the first place. George, one other thing I wanted to ask you about was it was, to me anyway, it was really interesting our position right above the Stranraer dugout,
Yeah.
not that far away from being above the East Kilbride dugout. So we heard a lot of things that people don't usually hear, I guess, as Brian's already said, interchanges with the linesman. Asked Martin Fellows up later on about his was he a bit late in putting the sun cream on because it was a bit of a roaster on Saturday. But good position to be in, and apart from that kind of obscure view along to
Yeah.
the right.
Yeah, brilliant. And if anyone is on the Patreon, have a listen to the full match because the actual tactical insight that you get from listening to them, and obviously a bit of profanity and some interesting calls as well. But yeah, nice to be close to the dugout and a great view. Other than that kind of obscured corner,
I
but
must,
obviously the home team gets
I
the best
must
spot.
admit, Lawrence. I must admit, Lawrence. My favourite bit was near the finish. James Dolan on the left-hand side. He beats the boy, the right back, and then he beats him again, and then he loses the ball. And Jim shouts, "Son, you've already beat him twice." Didn't he cross the ball? I
To be
thought that
fair,
was good.
he just thought what we were all saying, but I didn't want to have a go
Uh,
at James in commentary about it. But he had beaten the guy, and then he went back for more. And I called it absolutely spot on. So we did catch up with Martin Fellows at the end of the game, and it'd be nice to get Martin on here in the future. But in the meantime, we caught up and I asked him about the Martian listening post and what it does and what is his role at the club. So let's hear from Martin. Martin, nice of you to join us after the 3-1 loss at East Kilbride, which was a bit of a sore one to take. A few people have been asking about your role at the club, and obviously we made the joke about the Martian listening post a couple of weeks ago, the big camera up there. So we had a chance to get a quick word with you and say, what does the Martian listening post do? What is your role? And we see you at the side of the pitch. I don't know if it's you with the iPad. So what happens basically?
Yeah, good question. I think you probably have to ask the manager what my role is. It's not really been defined, if I'm being honest. Chris was obviously away on holiday for the Ross County game and the Partick Thistle game with his wife being a teacher. So he asked if I would come in and help Stevie take the team for those games, and I kind of initially said no. The manager last year in my own right, and I was keen to continue in that. But Chris, asked if I would help, and I did that, and I'd done the same. To be fair, when I lost my assistant last year, I asked Chris to come in and help me, and so it would have been really hypocritical of me not to repay the favour. And then once I was in the building, the guys were keen for me to stay on, and likewise. So yeah, I've not really defined the role, if I'm being honest. It's just trying to look at how we do, more structural things around to give Chris more support, to get more results on the pitch. Ultimately, they love more than what we've had for the first 3 games. So we just got to continue to keep working hard to do that.
So we were joking about the camera, the big tall camera. So what does that do? What does it bring you?
Yeah, really all we're trying to do there is we're filming the game back from a wider angle. It lets us be able to share it with the players and go over with the players in terms of seeing different parts of the pitch, seeing how we defend while we're also attacking the opposition box and stuff like that. And it also gives us a live feed into the dugout, albeit it's about 30 seconds behind, but we can, by the time half time comes, whether it's problems that we're getting caused by set plays or structural issues, we're able to kind of clip it, and me, Stevie and Chris are able to see that back and try and plug the gaps, if you like, before they occur. So yeah, we were able to bring Nicole in, which has been a big part for us. I think you can see the players' fitness levels.
I noticed she was out with the players at half time, the guys who weren't in the starting 11, doing a bit of work with them.
Absolutely, like Nicole's fantastic. We had Nicole at St Cadoc's with us for 2 years, so Chris has worked with her there, and we were keen to get her involved here, and it's a coup for us because she works really hard. She does a lot around the football club, in terms of the fitness side of things and the sports science, and she looks at our data, how much high intensity they're on and how we can improve in that, and also a lot of injury prevention work. I think when I spoke to Chris in summer, they were having some bad issues with injuries, so it's us looking at how we can try and prevent that before it happens. Now, you'll always pick up natural injuries, but for us, just making sure we're not doing anything with the players that helps that process or picks up injuries you don't need to pick up over the course of a season.
So I'm guessing with the feed into the iPad, the likes of today, for example, you're looking straight, penalty incident, the goal that was disallowed, these kind of things, and ultimately it doesn't change the outcome, but I'm guessing it gives you an insight into what on earth the referee done there. Was he right?
Look, it means I always say to players, there's no hiding place with the camera. You don't come in at half time and there's finger pointing or whose man was that, or no, I got tight and he didn't go. There's kind of clarity, and it lets us get to the detail quicker and solve the problem. So that's really what that's there for. And as I say, it's a great tool on days like today, because East Kilbride, they play some great football and they work rotations really well. At times the full-backs come in, the wide players come low, and then that creates space for midfield runners to get in behind. So for us, we're able to see that quite quickly at half time. We're a goal down, we're able to try and plug the gaps and speak to the players, and especially when we're forced into an early change, that helps us be able to get information to Lewis Hunter quite early. And the really disappointing thing, I think I probably echo what Chris has said to you, I thought structurally we were really good today. I thought we matched the problems that East Kilbride would cause us, we matched them a hell of a lot, and we created good chances, but we have to do better in set play scenarios, and that's a disappointment for us. But again, I'll speak to Chris and Steve over the weekend, and it's up to us to work on that and give the players the detail they need to help them improve.
I'm just trying to imagine, is it a positive being able to watch the feedback in the iPad without listening to Brian Martin and myself, or does it just mean you have to watch 2 sets of feeds over the weekend and crack up even more watching 2 set plays that we've not dealt with?
I said to the dugout, I felt as if I was in a fever dream, because I could hear you commentating above me in a gantry. I felt like I was lying in my bed on a Sunday morning watching the highlights back. So no, it's
nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we're never happy to lose games. I know Chris is frustrated. I think it's fair to say we didn't deserve anything from the first 2 league games, and look, we conceded 3 goals today. I'm not saying we deserved anything more than we got, but I thought there was signs there that we were starting to go in the right direction. Alba was a small step forward. I don't think today's a step back. It's certainly a step sideways in terms of the result, but it just means we have to go and make sure we take steps forward this week at training and bounce back to a result against Clyde.
And you were listening to us standing above you, we were listening to you. Did the suntan lotion do the job for you?
I think I might have got there too late, if I'm being honest. First half I think I got frazzled, so by the time it came out, second half I applied a layer, but I think I might be caught short come tomorrow.
Martin, thanks very much for talking to us, mate.
Cheers.
Good to speak to you. Martin fellas there. Interesting one, George, just to hear what goes on. You know, my goodness, the days you would never imagine Stranraer managers would be at the side of the pitch with an iPad, being able to look back at what happened half a minute before.
Yeah, and I noticed a couple of times when the referee was getting a decision, I was going to say getting a decision wrong.
Oh, just say it.
From our view, they could say, "I've got it right here. I'm watching it."
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm surprised the ref didn't come over for a look, VAR style.
maybe that's one for the future. But
George has already mentioned, so I'll come straight back to you, George. You've already mentioned that 3 straight defeats. What it does do, no matter how we're playing, is it just ratchets up the pressure that little bit more. And we have our friends from Clyde visiting the Ecogen Stadium at Stair Park on Saturday. And actually, I'm guessing, as is so often the case in League Two, both teams will be wanting 3 points from this one.
Yeah, we're used to these kind of high pressure, high excitement meetings with Clyde from the past couple of seasons. I think we owe them one. We didn't beat them last season. They had 3 wins and 1 draw. Yeah, it's just going to be another one of those kind of games where there's a lot riding on it. Both teams will be, going after it, and hopefully we get the better of it. And I think, the positive for me is I think Clyde have had a almost as rocky a start as we have. I think they've got clear things that we can target in terms of our strengths and their weaknesses, and hopefully that's the way the coaching staff will be looking at it and identifying where we can get at them, because I think we can.
Right, tell me about Clyde. What can we expect from them on Saturday?
Well, strange enough, Lawrence, I know they've had a point, we've had no points, but I think we're going in this game with more confidence in them because I've watched their replays. The fans are in meltdown on Pie and Bother and
Really?
on whatever.
It's no change.
as usual, that some of the defending on Saturday, and I'll love to see. I think Logan Donaghy will probably be playing centre half. I'll just absolutely love to see Sal Touré against him. Honestly, I'm looking for. I mean, we've got to start the front foot. We're the home team.
Yep.
I know the first game was a bit of a no game for Stranraer, but we've got to make Stranraer a fortress, and this is the start of it on Saturday. We've really got to start on the front foot with our new offensive team selection, and I think we've really got to go at them, and from the kickoff, and just get in their throats, and show them who's the boss.
George, yeah, I mean, I said earlier on that I felt if we played the way we did on Saturday, I didn't see the Alloa game, but if we played the way we did at East Kilbride on Saturday, we would have taken something from the Forfar game and we would have taken something from the Edinburgh City game. If it wasn't for the other defeats, you could probably kind of forget about the Forfar game. It's an away game. It's the first game of the season. We've got an absolutely stinking record at Forfar. It's really the Edinburgh game that, to me, let us down. As Brian's saying, you really want to come out all guns blazing your home games. So, it's almost like sort of reset and start again on Saturday in some respects.
Yeah, I think so. That Edinburgh City game, I think there was one moment of quality that separated the teams. Neither team really showed much on the day, and hopefully now that we've kind of changed things up a bit, we're a much more interesting, certainly, and more exciting, more attacking outfit. And I think Clyde have. You listen to the Clyde fans talking about their own team. They don't like Ross Lyon. They're pointing out Tommy Robson as a potential weakness. Logan Donaghy, I think his lack of pace versus, as Brian says, Sal's electric pace. I'm interested to see. I think we should match up fairly well with them. Obviously, they've got some strength in the team. They've got Hilton and Marley Redphone, who are very capable creatively, and Andy Murdoch with a bit of experience in the midfield. But beyond that, I think we match up quite well.
Yeah, Jinky Hilton coming back to Stair Park. It's not the first time he's been back since he went away. I'm trying to think, was it Dumbarton that he was at?
Dumbarton, yeah.
Back. That's the video, George, of your daughter running off across the pitch at Stair Park and being sort of rescued almost by Jinky. So interesting to see Jinky back, Brian. Yeah, Clyde on 1 point, Stranraer on 0 points, Edinburgh City on -11, but ominously picking up points.
Yeah.
Don't want to worry about the bottom at this stage of the season. But as George says, we suddenly seem that bit more exciting. Is it just the case that Tiff and Ginge and all the backroom staff are kind of getting to know now what they've got with all these 22 players and what
Well, I
the strengths
think
and
he
weaknesses
knew
are?
defensively. I think he knew defensively wise, Lawrence. He was fine.
Yeah,
But I think the Edinburgh City game would show him, wait a minute, we're not creating anything here.
yeah,
So we've got to tweak it a wee bit so we're much more, attacking wise. I think James Dolan coming in has helped him,
yeah,
and I think it was quite a master stroke putting Toure on the right hand side. It gives him a bit of width out there, and he can give defenders a nightmare at times. I agree with George. The Edinburgh City game was the one. If we get 3 points, everybody was, oh, okay. We played Forfar away, played East Kilbride the favourites for the league away. Fair enough. We never got a point. We beat the team we should have beat at home. So I think that was a game where we should have picked up the points. But on Saturday, I think Saturday, I know it's going to be a tough game. Though every game in League Two is tough. But I think if we apply ourselves right on Saturday, we should win the three. I'm just hoping, that the team just gets stuck in and don't start off at a low level and try and turn the tap on, and there's no water there. Go at them right away, and be in their faces.
yeah, yeah. No need to be hesitant. We're not playing, with all due respect to Clyde, their fans will say it themselves. They're not setting the heather on fire at this stage of the season, so there shouldn't be anything to be afraid of. George, I am still positive and confident about the signing of Corey O'Donnell. And it makes me even more excited about the signing of him. The fact that what we are now seeing from the likes of Sal, what we're now seeing from James Dolan, that's going to create opportunities for Corey. And given his scoring record last season, I just still feel it just needs sort of one to spark the flame.
I think that's it. And I think with all our forward players, you have to look at it and look at their age and look at how well they've done initially, and the positions they're getting into, and they can only improve from here. I think O'Donnell was a player who was picked out by a lot of League One players as one of their team of the season for Steny. So he does bring quality, and we have to remember that he's only been with us for, I think it's 2 weeks as of this podcast going out.
Yeah.
So he's still getting, he said it himself. He's still getting to know getting to know his teammates, and I think all of our front line will come onto the game. James Dolan's been out for a year. Sal, we're already seeing improvements from. So yeah, I think we need to just be patient in terms of the performances or the goals coming, and I think it will come.
Fair point. You talk about given a bit of time. Corey's played 3 games. Arguably, we're now seeing Salu Toure, and we've seen him in friendlies, League Cup matches, but just the last couple of games or so, it's just starting to come. James Dolan as well. That year at Real Madrid, we still had to get rid of the ring rust off him, and we're starting to see it now. Brian, sometimes you're putting a new squad together. You've just got to actually be a wee bit patient until it clicks.
Yeah, I think Corey is a classic example of a lack of confidence. When you see a striker taking his eye off the ball on that easy chance on Saturday, again a couple of times, he just wasn't convinced enough he's going to score. I think once he scores, he'll be absolutely fine. It's just getting that first goal, and I think he played that much in the second half of last season with Steny, so he's still finding his feet. But he gets into some great positions, and he'll score sooner rather than later. I'm quite sure. But I think it's just a lack of confidence with him.
Yeah,
George, I'm slightly worried for one of our players. So and it concerns Brian. So if I was Darren Lang, I think I'd be a little bit worried. So a few years ago, we used to laugh at Brian absolutely stalking Kyle Turner. It's been Darren Lang in recent years. Are we starting to see Aaron Quigg getting the same treatment from Brian, George?
quite possibly. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really picked up on it too much. I think Quiggy is. I'm a huge fan of his too. I think he's excellent. I was calling for him to be in the team at the same time that Brian was at the start of the season, and I think he's made a big difference in there. As we say, kind of big, strong, quick. Picks up balls in the midfield, no problems. Good in the air. Pretty much everything that you'd want from a young midfielder in League Two. And hopefully we can keep him safe from Brian for a good while yet.
No, it's just that Brian yet again named him as his man of the match on Saturday. I thought there's a bit of this is starting to build into a momentum here for man of the match. Oh, it's Aaron Quigg again. It's
You can pick a player, can Brian?
I think he was fantastic in Saturday. I said that during the game. I said Craig's seen an absolutely fantastic game. You don't It's not a player you say, oh, he's doing well, but you can see him what he does in a game. I can pick him a million miles away, and I've always liked him since he signed. I think he's only 19.
Yeah.
So again, he's very young. And I would have him in my team. In fact, he'd be one of my first picks in the Stranraer team.
So, Clyde at the Ecogen Stadium at Stair Park on Saturday, as we always do, exhort you to get out, back the boys, and also get yourself out to the Pavilion Bar, which is open from 1 o'clock onwards. Come out, meet fellow fans, have a pint. All proceeds go straight to the club. Tuesday night, we've got an unusual beast in the Challenge Cup. We've got Rangers B at Stair Park. You all know from many years of droning on my views of the B teams in the Challenge Cup. I don't really get what the point of it all is. However, if this is one that's going to draw a bit of interest from the town, this is the one, Rangers B. Your chance to see the odd player who might go on to perform in the Ibrox first team in a year or two. Rangers B, we don't know much about them, but we do know they lost 2-1 at Steny in the first batch of games. George, you were having a little bit look over what happened in that game.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, the appetite for the competition isn't quite taking off. They had an attendance of 164 at Ockleview that night, so hopefully it's a wee bit higher at the EcoGen on Tuesday. From what I gather, Rangers played a 4-3-3. Kind of went after Steny, but conceded 2 fairly early on. Steny started better. They tied at the end. Rangers kind of rallied in the second half and pushed them all the way, and then got a late goal through a 16-year-old lad called Ben Hutton. It's tricky. I think they'll be young, fit, sharp. They'll be well set up. I think Stevie Smith is their manager, was obviously a kind of defender for Rangers, played for Norwich, Preston, Aberdeen, Kilmarnock. So they'll be well drilled. But again, you would like to think that experience, kind of physicality, and hopefully a bit of quality should be the difference between us and them.
Yeah, it's probably a slightly more awkward tie. Or this might come back to bite me in the bum, but this is probably a slightly more awkward tie than some of the other B teams will face, purely because of the size of Rangers. Good start for us in the competition, Brian. It's this curious European style league format of 32 teams and the top 24 does it go through? So
no, top 20, isn't it? Joined by
12. It all adds up to there's 10 coming in from the championship.
Yeah, so it's top 22, is it?
Yeah, so it makes it 32 in a knockout round.
Yeah.
It's the top 22 out of whatever many it is. So you've got to avoid the bottom 8, basically. So 3 points against Alloa, Brian, is a decent start, because you don't have to win all your games, but people are saying you probably have to get around about 9 points or something to get through.
Yeah. I mean, Cosmo was saying on Saturday this Rangers B team is under 19s, so you would think would be good enough to beat an under 19 team, but of course it is Rangers, so they've got plenty of talent there. But I'm the same as George. I looked up the Stennismere stats, and they had quite a bit of goal chances. I think they had 12 shots to Rangers. I think it was 5. So, and I mean, I see a twinkle in Cosmo's eye if we qualify, because you're guaranteed 30 grand
Aye,
if you qualify.
good money.
But if you get, I think Cosmo might be looking at the last 16 because he's wanting a higher up position because
Yeah.
you play low, you don't play the league, the championship clubs coming in.
Yeah.
So if you get into the last 16, you're guaranteed 40 grand.
Yeah.
So it goes up 10 grand. And if you manage to get into the last 8, it's 50 grand. So it's really good money.
Brian Martin, what do we get if we win it? Let's be
I think
optimistic.
it's 150 grand, I think.
Right, let's go for that then.
Yeah, that'll do.
Well, I don't
Let's
know about that.
mucking
I,
about
I,
with the
I,
first
would,
round.
I think I'll take last 16 or last 8. I mean, if you count up the Premier Sports Cup money
Yeah.
along, just say you do get to the 16, that's 74 grand in cup competitions this season,
Yeah.
which is not to be sniffed at. So, I mean, I can see Cosmo's way of thinking. If we do end up high in this league, we can maybe play a team who we can maybe beat, in the last 32 and get into 16, you're 10 grand better off.
Well, the treasurer at the end of the game at the K Park on Saturday gave George and I a bag of Haribo each, so God knows what we're going to get off them if we get into the final of the Challenge Cup, no matter who it's against. You missed out on that, Brian.
Don't know where he's
That's
getting the money from.
terrible.
Free Haribo.
Wait.
Yeah, just looking at it, I think we need to be getting results against the B teams
B teams,
because you look at the other games
Yeah.
we've got. It's Kelty away
will be
and
tough.
Queens at home. Both
Yeah.
both tough ties. So if we can beat the B teams, I think we'll be safe and ideally, yeah, beat Queens as well. Just to
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 5-0 will do. Pressure,
5-6.
guys. No pressure at all. Yeah, as Brian was saying, so the top, let's go back to it's the top 22 go through. But if you're 22nd, you're going to get the team that's at the top end of the championship.
Yeah.
Higher up, you might actually get another team that's just qualified and not a championship side. So yeah, got to go for it. Don't know much about Rangers B. One thing we do know, George, the kick-off has been brought forward to 7:30, so not 7:45. Something to do with well, you'll be well versed in this, being an A77 roadster. Something to do with a blockage on the road or a closure on the road.
Yeah, there's a closure on the way back. I think it's 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. or one of these kind of things. So it affects both teams. I think it's adding 45 minutes for both. So just taking that 15 minutes off the kickoff time makes a wee bit of a difference. But yeah, I think we saw from the Alloa game, it was a good evening out at the Ecogen, good atmosphere. And that's what I hope we'll get from these games, is it's a wee bonus and a good chance to see a bit of extra football, even if, competition is maybe has been tweaked.
That's what I miss being far away in Edinburgh. Brian Martin's in Lanark, is that the midweek home games I tend to miss, and that's actually, Brian, under the floodlights midweek. It's always a wee bit special, eh?
I mean, I've got to say, it doesn't entice me going out to see Rangers being on a Tuesday night. That road's going to be closed, at a certain time, and not getting home to about maybe 12 o'clock. I should be in my bed by 9 o'clock.
And you might miss the Great British Sewing Bee.
Well, that's true. These late, I might miss Emmerdale. No, I'm not. I used to watch Emmerdale when it was Emmerdale Farm, Jack Sugden and such like. I've not seen it for years.
Well, there you go then. Brian Martin's a huge fan of Emmerdale Farm, not so much Emmerdale. So we'll leave it at that point, guys. Just again, a reminder, Clyde at the Ecogen Stadium at Stair Park on Saturday, kick off 3 o'clock. Rangers B at the Ecogen Tuesday night in the KDM Cup, 7:30 kick-off. Be there and back the boys.